Ange Postecoglou, I still think with the two upcoming games, I think it's the biggest week for Postecoglou's Tottenham career. Away at Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, second leg, they got a 1-0 lead from the first leg, and then away at Aston Villa in the FA Cup. I think you lose those two games, I think he's in big, big trouble. I think if he wins the Carabao Cup game or gets a draw or somehow qualifies on penalties, I think everything to do with Ange Postecoglou changes. I think if he can take Tottenham to a Carabao Cup final, I think it doesn't matter if they avoid relegation by goal difference or they lose almost every game the rest of the season. I think if he can take them to the Carabao Cup final, that just buys him until that final, no matter what happens. But I do think if they lose on Thursday night against Liverpool or get knocked out, he goes into that Aston Villa game knowing that he can't lose it. Because you can't get knocked out of two cup competitions in 5 days.
Yeah, but are you going to drop Postecoglou when after that Villa game you've got United, Ipswich, City? Like, getting rid of a manager after these two cup ties and sending him to the Wolves of, if you lose to United, people raise question marks because they're having such a bad season. If you lose to Ipswich, there's real problems. And if you then get battered by City that have this kind of Jekyll and Hyde type campaign where they can give us flashes of what we've seen them be over the last 5 years, they can also do what they did this weekend and collapse. But if you go there, if you welcome City to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and you get battered, you can't be changing a manager before those Premier League games after this cup run. I do think, I completely agree with you, if Ange gets him to a Carabao Cup final, then he's bought himself a lot of time. If he wins a Carabao Cup, he's bought himself the end of the season and then some. But
is there a statue? This is not a joke, by the way. Is there a statue of him somewhere if he wins the Carabao Cup?
Not a chance, no. Not a chance. What a ludicrous insult of a question to poor Tottenham fans that is.
I think some of them will be up for it, mate. We've spoken to a Tottenham fan recently. Like, I reckon if they win the Carabao Cup and you got an Ange Postecoglou statue, the big question for me would be, so this week, yesterday I saw Ange Postecoglou smile. Like, I saw Ange Postecoglou, like, the sides of his mouth, Ollie, as is classical with a smile, went up like that. And it was unmistakably a smile. And it struck me as, like the teacher at school that never smiles. And then maybe like at the end of the term or the end of the year or on your last day of ever seeing him or her, there's just like a faint, like a little smile. So I've seen Ange Postecoglou smile, but I reckon you have the statue of him looking moody with the big jacket up. And
Are these Tottenham fans that want a statue for a Carabao Cup also saying, if we go down to League One, the Virtue Trophy's ours. The EFL Trophy is in the bag. I mean, you're talking about Arsenal. Who are these friends that you're spending time with talking about football?
Hey,
you got Arsenal fans that are guaranteeing
good, great friend, loyal listener to the show, and he almost whispered to me in the pub. He was like, "Mate, we could get relegated." And I was like, "You're not getting relegated, mate. There's 3 terrible sides in the Premier League. You got a 7-point gap. This was before they won on Sunday." He was like, "We could get relegated." I was like, "Mate, you're not getting relegated." Anyway, the Ange watch is definitely...
Very Trump description of your friend there. Great friend, loyal listener.
The greatest friend.
If you say anything is great in this era, my head immediately turns it into a Trump quote, and everything you say after that that's also a positive synonym of him becomes
we talked about this in the podcast before, Ollie. There's one of the greatest videos, one of the most underrated videos of all time, is Donald Trump conducting the League Cup trophy, like now the Carabao Cup. Have you ever seen this?
No.
Ollie, it is the greatest, it's the most underrated, underseen clip.
Doing a draw.
It should have 100 million views on YouTube. Donald Trump, I think it's in the 90s, basically conducts, like pulls the balls out the pot for the League Cup trophy. He's in the UK for some reason, and it's like, I don't know who's with him, but I'm going to dig it out, and possibly before the League Cup final, we'll do a bit on it, and we'll add it to the video, because it's just the craziest thing ever.